just mic'd up with Mikie Mahtook. Got the boys in. I got Lloyd. We got J. Mitch. We got Jackie Boy.
He tried to jump up and he might have knocked it in.
Good time. Let's go. What a start to the Monday. I mean, I'm from Lafayette. My boys would come in, say,
oh, God.
So me and Joe on the ground. I got Joe in a headlock. And he's sitting there. Helmet. He's punching me in the stomach, like steady punching me.
Here, and there's everyone sitting around. Who here thinks Opchinko can practice today after having 5 full beers? And he goes, Chad Jones, right? Chad's been with the team 6 minutes. For 7 minutes, right? Chad's like, no, man, I don't think Opchinko can practice today. And I was like, I look back, I'm like, Jesus Christ, I fucking saw you there. You were more fucked up than me.
Be on the spirit plane had some issues. I think she was sleep farting.
You heard her or you just thought it was her?
I sat right next to her. I smelled it.
Whoa. What was that?
Time to start the show.
I don't want to eat.
Why would I have that?
You had the circus or something.
6:03, I'm late. Like, I don't even know what I'd be doing.
Now, when you do go to spring training, are you going to bring your chinchilla and your turtle?
My dad tell you about it?
The SEC is, God, they hate fat people. I mean, I get crushed for that. You know what I mean? And it's like, come on, man.
Hey, just the South, bro. You got a bunch of food down here. Like they're all fatter than I am.
Players, look at Lloyd.
You know what, Lloyd?
I mean, you're looking for a recruiting coordinator, coach. I'm here.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll piss my pants right now.
No way.
We're wearing gray pants, long gray pants. He goes, I'll piss my pants right now. Hello, welcome back to Mic'd Up. Today is Monday, August 7th. I don't know if you've walked outside lately. Don't. It's very hot. Stay inside. It is extremely hot. It's been triple digits for almost 2 straight weeks now. The reason why I'm bringing that up, you say, oh, it's Louisiana. You should get used to the hot. Yeah, no, for sure. I'm used to it. But when people are hot and sweaty and tired, and they keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, tempers start to flare a little bit. You saw that today in the practice, one of the August practices for LSU. It was open to the media at the time that this happened, and there was a fight that broke out between Kyron Lacey, Malik Neighbors, 2 of probably our starting receivers, versus Denver Harris, and you may know the other guy, and Harold Perkins. And so 4 prominent guys. I do hear that music.
Yeah.
I know. We're gonna turn it
you
up.
just might be hearing it because you're right next to it.
Yeah. You don't hear it? Really? You're
Yeah.
lying to me.
No, I don't hear it
Okay,
at
that's
all.
fine. Anyway, they get kicked out of practice. The portion of the practice open to the media, and listen, it is August. I, for one, and me and Jared talked a little bit off air. Me and Lloyd talked a little bit off air about this. I, for one, I'm okay with it. Obviously, you don't want that happening over and over and over and over again.
Over again.
When it happens, I like the fire. I like the intensity. Obviously, you've been doing these same drills and going up against the same guys on your team for a really long time. You're ready for some different opponents. You're ready for the real stuff. You still have 3 weeks left of this type of practice, so you're going to have to get used to it. But look, this practice was outside. It was. You know, tempers have been. I'm sure there's probably been a lot of shit talking over the course of the last month. Yeah, a lot of one-on-ones, but I'm okay with it. We're gonna talk more about the football preview. Top 5 came out. LSU is ranked top 5 in the AP to start the season, which we kind of assumed they were going to be anywhere between that 5 and 8 range. USC is behind LSU at 6. The first 4, you know, business as usual. I think it was the top 4 from last year. You had obviously Georgia, Alabama, Michigan, Ohio State, all in that top 4. Not in that order, I don't believe. It's Georgia, Michigan, Alabama, Ohio State, LSU. That's the top 5. That's preseason, obviously. Preseason rankings don't really mean much. It's just nice to talk about. So we're going to get into that. We're going to run through these Heineken headlines. The Saints signed Jontre Kirkland to a free agent deal. I think that's a great thing. I think he's going to hopefully find a spot there in special teams and maybe get some play at the receiver position. Look, they do a really good job of finding these diamond in the rough guys. You had Shaheed is out for a few weeks based off of some minor injuries, so you're going to get some opportunity to see Jontre Kirkland kind of in that same role. We'll see what happens there. In baseball news, college baseball news, Dylan Cruz and his best friend, Gavin Dougas, are on the same professional team right now. They both got drafted this year by the Nationals. They are both in Fredericksburg playing for the Nationals, and they both hit their first career professional home run on the same day. So congratulations to both of those guys. That is a huge moment. They get it out their way super early in their career. It took me almost 2 months to hit my first professional home run. I think end of May was my first professional home run. So mine happened a lot later than theirs did. So congratulations to the boys. In other baseball news, fight night happened on the Diamond this weekend.
A lot of fights.
A lot of fights were happening this weekend. Tim Anderson gets. Listen, I'm not saying it looked like he had. He was the more skilled fighter. It seemed like he was ready.
A little more polished.
Yeah, but
doesn't
Jose
always
Ramirez
win.
gave him a blind right and got him and landed it and dropped him. And he came up and it looked like Tim was struggling to get back to the locker room. He was stumbling and bumbling a little bit. Listen, I'm not condoning violence. I think that was great for baseball. I think it's something that it gives them a lot of look. There's a lot of frustration right now with the Chicago White Sox. They're not winning. They're selling off their team. I think Tim Anderson's been frustrated there for the last couple years. Now, after something like this happens, you're going to start hearing other reports about other things that have happened through the course of, the last couple years. And who knows if they're true, but that's just once something happens like this, the media and these stories tend to pile on. We're going to talk more about that later. Another Saints news, Kareem Hunt and Anthony Barr both visiting the New Orleans Saints today in free agency. Kareem Hunt, they say the running back position is a need right now. They're kind of lack of depth. I don't necessarily agree with that. I know that you're not getting Kamara for 3 games, and I know that Benjamin's out for the year, but you still have Jamal Williams, who led the league in touchdowns last year, and you still have your third-round running back, who you're extremely excited for and looking to give him some opportunity. So using him as a depth piece, obviously I don't know what Kareem Hunt's price is right now, but he may be too expensive for a depth piece. Who knows? But it's nice that they are coming there. Anthony Barr, I think, makes a lot of sense. Obviously, you need another linebacker. You need a guy who's going to be able to have that experience and get to the quarterback and be able to make some plays in the front 7. So I think that's a huge event that is happening, is them visiting, right? It's a huge thing for the Saints. And the last part of these Heineken headlines is we talked about the realignment. We talked about the Pac-12 no more. We talked about how they're dead. They went from Pac-12 to Pac-4. There are only 4 teams standing. Those 4 teams are Oregon State, Washington State, Stanford, and Cal. Out of those 4, I think Stanford and Cal have the best opportunity to move out, right? Because they offer things to these other universities. Now, Cal has not been very good in sports for a little while. Stanford, I think, offers the most out of those 4 teams. There are talks right now with Stanford about going to the ACC, which is going to make the ACC kind of a coast-to-coast league. Who knows if that's going to be a good thing? And within the ACC, you have one of the top schools there in Florida State. They're threatening on a YouTube interview meeting Zoom thing that they are not happy and they're looking to leave. Well, the date to leave the ACC by next year is August 15th of this year. They have to announce it by then, so you're going to see kind of what happens there. The realignment in college football is crazy. There's a bunch of articles out there about how, with the scraps, the guys who don't get picked up to these major conferences, what they can do and how they can still be successful, kind of create their own conference. Who knows what's going to happen? But it's a wild time in college sports. Wild time. Those are the Heineken headlines. I'm so happy I drank a 95-calorie, 4% alcohol beer on ice. Not on ice, ice down before the show to really, cool me down because it's hot. It's 103 degrees outside today, and I'm excited for. I'm pumped for our partnership. Look, we've changed. We told y'all as we continue to progress through this show in our new spot in our new area, we have modified our set. We have a new set. It looks better than it has looked. We're gonna have some. We are gonna have some bumps and bruises, but I think it looks great. Lloyd loves it. Jared loves it. We have a big show for you today. I meant to tell you too. Matthew Brune covers LSU football for On 3 is going to be on the show via video call live at 7. He was there at practice. He's gonna give us all the insight on what went down, how did it go down. Was it blown out of proportion or not blown out of proportion? And my take, and not seeing it, this is my take on reading the article, being an athlete and being in those situations. I think it was maybe blown a little bit out of proportion. I think Brian Kelly did the right thing in reprimanding the guys because at the end of the day, if you do this in a game, you get kicked out, you're penalizing your team. But in practice, I think that it is a good thing. You want to see the fire. You want to see the passion. You want to see the competitiveness between your guys. If it continues to happen, I think that's a negative thing. I think there's one thing right now. It's just one of those things that, tempers flared and shit happens sometimes. But I don't know if it's as big of a deal as people are making it out to be. So with that, let's get into the show. What do you think, Lloyd? What do you think?
I think you kind of hit it on the head. I don't think there's. You expect that obviously we had a story with.
I love your back. Dude, I love this backdrop from you.
I got a sick
really
backdrop,
do. Yeah.
Which I lived here. But we had the story with Patrick Queen that kind of broke on Mik'd Up in the early days where he talked about the story of him and Joe Burrow kind of getting at it where it was a full-on brawl between...
He's punching Joe Burrow in the helmet.
Yeah, the offense and the defense. And by all accounts, it's the same thing. Matthew Brune of On 3 will come on, and he'll kind of give us the full breakdown. He was there in practice. It happened while the media was there. From some reports I got, it wasn't as big of a deal as people are making it out to be. Obviously, Brian Kelly is going to try to nip this thing in the bud. He's been preaching everything against this. He doesn't want this is not the culture he's trying to purvey at LSU. He's trying to get away from some of this stuff. But look, this happens in the NFL. This happens at
every year in preseason in the NFL. You see,
this happens from high school all the way up to the NFL. That's what I'm saying. It's not that big a deal, and it wasn't. I don't think it was as full blown as that Patrick Queen, Joe Burrow, where punches were thrown. From what I heard, it was like a couple people got in each other's faces, then it kind of escalated to where everybody, it was like more of a mosh pit than a Tim Anderson situation.
All right. You want the defense.
He's going through it on Twitter.
He's going through it.
That's concussion tweeting.
Yeah, that's tough. But you want the defense to back up the defenders, and you want the offense. Whoa.
You
want the offense to back up the offense, right? That's just one of those things. And it's okay to have the competitiveness. What do you think about it, Jay? You've probably been in a few.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fine with my only part that makes me worry about it, and reading through the notes of it, is I guess there's seemingly a little growing up that's got to happen because let's not get it wrong. The boys have been around each other all summer. They've gone through all of the summer workouts, which really you're not really leaning on each other, right? You're working together through the majority of that stuff. But they did just start practicing last Wednesday. So it's
this is the fourth. This was day 4 of practice.
It's pretty early for that. So that part of it, in a way, kind of leads me towards a little bit of immaturity and kind of pettiness, bickerness, which in big moments could hurt you in big games. But the reason I guess really why I'm not that worried about it, because I do feel like you got the right man at the top who could kind of hone some of that stuff in and channel that stuff the right way before you reach, I guess, the beginning of the season, the kickoff of the season. So I'm not really that worried about it, but it is pretty damn early for that kind of whatever amount of fighting going on. It's pretty early.
And you say that, I mean, immaturity, obviously, but then you have, the two receivers, Neighbors and Lacey. Lacey is a veteran, right? He's been in college.
But they're still young kids,
No doubt. And you would hope that the reason why they got into this thing wasn't because of immaturity, right? It was more because of competitiveness, and I'm hoping that's the case. If not,
well,
then
I
think Brian Kelly
guess
figured it out.
That's my point about immaturity. Like they're all uber competitive.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be a question or a worry that should be something we should already know, right? But like I said, when this is practice number 4 that you're together to start the year, I don't care how much shit talking that could have went on. You ain't been on the field in this situation long enough to already be going to blows a little bit.
No doubt. I'm with you.
That little bit of it makes you wonder that if maybe in the third quarter when there's 100,000 people in the stands and it's a big game, a top 5 matchup, is it that easy to get into your head? You get what I'm saying?
No, yeah,
and that's
for sure.
That's the only part you kind of wonder about. But like I said, I feel good about knowing who's at the helm and the message that are being conveyed down to these kids and pushed throughout this thing. And I feel like this is stuff that'll be nipped in the bud. And the competitiveness part is what you want to see, especially this early.
No doubt. I think, look, we've been harping on the young guys. We've been harping on how talented this team can be in the recruiting class that they brought in. A lot of reports are coming out right now that the youth has been playing, they have had some really big moments in practice, right? Pimpton, who I'm pretty pumped about coming in from Texas, they say he looks really good. He's using his size and his athleticism. Zalance Hurd looks good. Deshaun Womack, who I think is going to be an enormous addition to the team. I think he looks really good. And then Javian Toviano, obviously, we all expect him to start from day one. They said he looked pretty impressive today. Another one, obviously, they showed some highlights of our guy Aaron Anderson, who's from Baton Rouge. He went to Alabama and transferred back. He is from New Orleans, from Louisiana, yeah. And he was extremely talented. He was ranked very highly coming out of high school. He was a guy that people were super bummed about not coming to LSU. He is smaller in stature. He can fly. He's super athletic. You've had, one of those things. It's not about your talent, not about his talent, not about his ability to run, but the concerns that you have that you want to see more. It's not even that thing can't do it, that you want to see. What are those?
So I'm wondering if
that camera's all fucked up.
Well, what's wrong with it?
It's making Jared look like he's moving in slow motion. So I'm just putting one here, and we're gonna have to fix it later.
Jesus,
that's the only one we got.
Oh, okay.
I'm wondering if one coming over from another school, how quickly can he put together the playbook, right? Are they going to make him stick to one spot? Is he going to be able to move around? How that's going to work? And then two, can he play within the offense, or is he going to be more of a screen, bubble, reverse gimmick guy? Like, how can that fit into it? The one thing I guess a little bit off of him, but it seems to me that this offense for sure has depth in all of the right places. Up front, at the tight end position, obviously with the skill position guys as well. And to me, that makes me feel good about how this thing's going to roll and kind of go forward, because it gives you time to kind of figure out how are we going to be able to get the ball to these skill position guys and how we're going to roll with it. So
no doubt.
I do like that a lot.
I agree, and I think part of the depth, right? They kind of patched together the secondary last year, right? This year you get a transfer in Denver Harris, is young. He's a sophomore. You have him for at least 2 years. You get Toviano, who's coming in as a true freshman. You have some guys that are coming back. So you have more depth in the secondary. I think a guy, and we've talked about him a lot on here, is LaTerrence Welch. He's from Acadiana. He's I think he redshirted last year, so he's a redshirt freshman this year. They say he's been impressing during practice. I think that gives him another piece in the secondary, especially at the cornerback position, which in the SEC and with the talented receivers you can go up against, like, you need to have more than one or two guys that can cover these high level receivers. And so I'm excited to watch him. I'm hoping that he continues to progress, because I really want to see him get on the field and be the guy that everybody thinks he can be. It's no surprise that the tight ends are getting a lot of pub, right? Because that's part of the offense. But for the tight ends to succeed and for the tight ends to be able to do well and shine, the quarterbacks have to understand the concepts and the routes and understand where they're supposed to go and make the good throws. And so the quarterbacks actually have both of them have been playing really well. You know, in the article and some of the reports, they talk about, you know, Daniels making the intermediate throws and making all the good reads and doing all the right stuff. And they talk about Nussmeier throwing the ball deep and completing these long passes down the field. I'm thinking, like, all right, like, just because he's doing that and Daniels is not doing that doesn't mean that Daniels can't do that, or he's not doing it because he's avoiding to throw the ball down the field. And I think sometimes these things get phrased and talked about in a way where it goes towards the public opinion of what each quarterback is, so that it keeps the conversation going. I think that's what they're trying to do.
Bro, can you imagine what the conversation is going to be if it just so happens, win, loss, or draw? Like, it doesn't really matter. But that opening night when they kick this thing off, can you imagine what the conversation is going to be if you don't see Daniels absolutely dazzle? Like, can you imagine the LSU fan base and how bothered they're going to be and how much they're going to be calling for something different to happen literally like that? Like, it's unbelievable. And reading through the notes and seeing what they had go on, it almost sounds like, to me, like you saw out of Nussmeier a lot of what you saw last year. Now, I'm sure there's been some progression. I'm sure he's gotten better. He's dazzled and made big plays, and then he'll give the ball away a couple times. And it's like, I think those are the things that has kept and held him back. And I really do feel like as he grows and as he keeps going, if he can learn how to hone that in and make a little less of, you know, the risky decisions every now and then, or make that read a little quicker every now and then, I don't know if it'll be this year. Maybe it's not until next year, but he could probably really be something special.
Absolutely.
And I really do feel like
I'm excited. I'm excited for that. Like, I think if college football, the recent success of quarterbacks in college football have taught you anything, you only need one really good year. If you have the talent, you only need one really good year to show that that talent is real and you've made that jump.
That's not even that recent. That's been a long. That's
right. And so, like, I think him sticking it out and being here and being part of the squad and understanding it and then having his 1 year next year to start. Now, technically, you'd have two because he's a redshirt junior next year. I think that he can go out there and light the world on fire, and I think that helps the lineage of quarterbacks. Yeah. You have the young guys to develop behind them, and you don't have to start as a true freshman and those types of things.
Reps for your actual game yourself never hurts, right? Like, the more reps you get, the better you get at something. But reps when you're not ready could hurt your stock.
Yep, right.
You know what I mean? And maybe that's still where he's at. And I get it. We're like, oh, it's coach's son. He grew up in the locker room. He grew up looking at the playbook and all of this. That all that really doesn't matter. There's still a maturation period that still has to happen that's going on right now, and he's, you know, still going through that right now. And hopefully, like you said, yeah, he could be out there and play 2-3 years somewhere, and it could, you know, as long as the progression is better and better every year, the prospect of it at the end of the day will be great. But it really only takes one, especially at a school like LSU, especially in the SEC.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's interesting.
I think the reason he doesn't want to transfer, obviously, he could have had his pick of the litter when you look at the schools that were looking for quarterbacks this year, especially in the SEC.
He's back. Welcome back to the show.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
You're grinding.
The camera was
like it's still that's whatever. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. This is the
Bumps
worst
and bruises.
Yeah, absolutely. But when you talk about Garrett Nussmeier, and he had the ability to transfer anywhere he wanted. You saw the reports of Alabama offering to his brother. It could have been Alabama, could have been Auburn, could have been, an SEC school. And these are choices that Garrett Nussmeier could have gone to. His brother gets his alleged offer of like $1.5 million. I don't think it's a very big coincidence that the day that Nussmeier elects to come back, he gets a deal with the G team and Gordon McKernan. He elects to stay and come back at LSU, even with doesn't feel like he's going to be the starter. And this will happen. This will be the last year it'll happen, but it's happened the last 2 years because look at what happens. Nussmeier has the propensity to throw the deep ball as well as anybody in the country. It feels that way. Those are the reports that come out of practice every time you see him throw, and it stirs this controversy up. But what else people aren't talking about that happened? He also threw a pick. Like, you're getting the same Garrett Nussmeier, the good and the bad.
And we're not trashing him.
We're
not trashing him.
And it wasn't, and like you said, it wasn't. He threw a pick, and it wasn't a tip ball or an errant pass. It was
just a little late.
I'm late on a decision. that hurts. We can't have those. Those are the things that you don't want. Like, for people that don't really understand it, and I would imagine that they're doing it now, but like really, 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 really good teams, for the most of them, like, you go through a game, when you watch film the day after, it's not so, they're grading you not so much on, hey, did you catch the ball? Hey, did you actually make the block? It is literally, did you block the right person? Is your head in the right spot? Is your head on the right side of them? Are you attacking the right gap? Those are the things you get graded on, right? And those are the things that not only your college is evaluating you on, but upper level people are evaluating you on, right? And that's how you end up moving, because, all right, we know you're doing those things right, and then the tape actually matches what the grade says. Oh, it's something special, right?
No doubt.
So it's those things that I feel like it's what's holding him back right now, and that's part of his maturation period, and that's okay.
And that, like you said, when you get graded on it, like, you can do a Garrett Nussmeier play where it's probably off schedule, across your body, great play, but when you grade it, like, this is a 0.
I'm not gonna say the number because it's alleged. Like, I don't really know that that number is true last year, but that the great game that he played, apparently the grade he got was
Not very good.
like super low. And I get it. The thought process is, well, shit, if that's what it takes, I get him out there all day, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But no, because that turns into 3 picks one day, and next thing you know, you're down 28-0 in the second quarter. You're out. It's over already before you even get to
Nussmeier
halftime.
has to throw it, and I get the
Right.
flash, but I can't believe that you have a quarterback at LSU that is second or third in the Heisman odds. You're like, you should bench him. This offense is constructed around Jaden Daniels for this year, and he doesn't have to throw it deep every time, but he does have to show flashes of.
And I think he
stretching
will.
the
Listen.
defense. Me too. It's practice.
Yeah, and he's gotten bigger and he's gotten stronger. He looks better. He's gonna be able to withstand the contact more. Now, he didn't really even get hurt. I mean, he got beat up a little bit towards the end, but that's an ankle. That's not because he's frail. That's just he gets rolled up and it happens, right? So he's gained the weight that way. The reports are that he looks amazing throwing the deep ball. He looks way better in this offense and throwing the football to the receivers. Well, that's a huge thing.
Can I just say this? Tell me can y'all ever remember a time where there is we can name one other player last year in my mind that stands out as you're like, that could have gotten a lot of votes for team MVP, but at the end of the day, he wasn't actually putting points on the board. So to me, he doesn't get it, right? So can you ever remember a time where someone's won their own team's team MVP, and seemingly he is the guy that is on the hottest of hot seats this year to lose his job, outside looking in?
No, never. I mean, I've never.
It's hard. It's hard to think of somebody else where you'd be like, I think he should have been the one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get it. And I think that a lot of people now are looking at it, and I don't think that the crowd is as big as it was. Oh, Nuss needs to be the starter.
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels needs to be benched. I don't think it's as loud as it was last year.
Until the numbers aren't 30 for 35 with 360 and 4 touchdowns.
Right. Obviously, like that.
Against a top 10 team.
Yeah. The unreasonableness of the fans, obviously that would come out for sure. Now, I think that he's going to start off the season in a really good way to where I think people are going to understand and know that, okay, he's our guy. He's our best chance right now. Jaden Daniels, and Nussmeier is going to be our guy next year, and he's going to be just as good. He's going to be just a different type of quarterback. Right, just a different type of quarterback, but you can't take this guy. And I'm not saying he is Matt Castle, because he's definitely not. Completely separate, different quarterbacks. But my example to Nussmeier is Matt Castle didn't play in college, except for, I think, 1 year. His senior year at USC, he was behind Carson Palmer, I think.
Right.
He was behind Carson Palmer, didn't play. Carson Palmer gets drafted in the first round, goes to the NFL, has this long career. Matt Castle goes to the NFL, has a long career, ends up being the starting quarterback for the Chiefs and for a couple other teams. And I think Nussmeier's got more talent, more arm talent than Matt Castle did. And my whole point is it only takes 1 year
that's not even a question.
to be able to go and get an opportunity in the NFL and have a very, very, very successful career. So I think it works out. I think it's probably best case for LSU. You have the veteran guy, you have a guy behind him who's also a veteran, and you allow these young guys to come up, redshirt as a freshman, be a redshirt freshman. If you want to play 3-4 years, you can. If you want to get out after 2, you can.
And I think another reason that he stayed, going back to Garrett Nussmeier, is look at the team he's going to have next year. Look at the defense he's going to have. He doesn't want to face that. LSU is set up to make what did Brian Kelly say? It's not going to be in year 2. It's going to be in year 3. He keeps pounding that message into people's heads. We don't want to believe it because you look at the LSU team and you go, why not this year? But if you're Garrett Nussmeier, you can go, well, why not next year? if everybody believes him so much, which I do too. But I'm saying you have a 2-year window, and that's why another reason Nussmeier didn't walk away. He could see himself winning a national championship
For sure.
at LSU.
For sure.
And then
That's
you
where he wants to be.
Yeah, you go top 15 in the draft.
And
Like,
there's-
it's a perfect scenario for
No
him.
doubt. And there's something to be said for a guy who wants to be here.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he stuck it out. I mean, a la Matt Flynn. You know what I mean? Now, the transfer portal wasn't there.
But he could have done graduate transfer.
But he could have done a graduate transfer, and he didn't. He stayed. He won a national championship, went to the NFL, had a long career in the NFL.
It sounds to me too like it's outside of literally just straight up promising you a spot or an opportunity or a job or snaps. Sounds to me like Brian Kelly conveyed a bunch of confidence in what he thinks that Nussmeier can be, and that right there said, "I'm staying." And honestly, if I had to guess, part of me feels like Walker kind of got that message as well and said, all right, so I'm not only battling 2 guys this year, but I'm probably not going to play because I'm battling you next year. So I'm out.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? And
Yeah.
I kind of feel like if they have that relationship, then he understands, like, man, I'm next. And I'm going to have at least, at worst, 2 years to do it. Why would you not take that opportunity, you know?
I'm with you. And
I think this is much to do about nothing also.
I do too. This is a conversation. I think some of the I brought it up because I'm reading some of these notes, and I think that people are bringing this stuff up just to have a conversation piece. People are ready for football.
Yeah,
they're ready for this stuff to happen.
Sidebar too, just to let people know, like, and understand about this. Like, this is a league, truth be told, where you want an older, quote unquote, more experience, just that's a quarterback that's been around. It's tough to come in this league and be great from day one. It's tough to come in this league and be really, really, really good as a youngster. You want someone who's seen it. Whether it's at game speed, whether it's in the classroom, however you want to call it, you want someone who's seen it. That way when they step on the field, it's not a step back. You get what I'm saying? And that's kind of what you want. That's kind of the way it's set up right now. You got a guy who's got, 13 years as a starter right now, who's going to be a starter again this year. You'll have Nussmeier coming back, who's been in the program for, 3 years at this point next year. Then you'll have, if let's just say he plays great or good enough next year and he doesn't leave and he comes back for another year, well, then now you got Colin Hurley who's going to be sitting behind him for another like, that's what you want at this spot.
Yep.
Truth be told, it's hard to get a guy to come in and supplant a guy like Tua did at
And if you do,
Alabama.
then
If you do, then it's great. It's cool.
Exactly.
That's fine. But that's so you're not going to find that a lot in this league, and it's really, really, really hard. You want the older guy in this league.
Well, and another thing that I think people need to realize is the team's going to be a lot better off as far as talent and roles assigned, right? Like, the offensive line's a lot more experienced. They're more talented than they were last year. 1, because of the experience, and 2, because now you have depth. You have two sets of offensive linemen, right? Like, you have your starters, and you have the other guys who are going to fight for starting position at some other positions that are good, right? You have that. I think your front 4 on the defensive side is extremely good, and they're deep, right? Your running back room has 8 of them, all on scholarship, which is pretty ridiculous. And all those running backs, we were wondering who's going to take a step. I think a lot of us were thinking that Logan Diggs was going to have the first crack at it because he comes from Notre Dame. Brian Kelly knows he's going to get from him. He's an experienced guy. He had success there. And the reports are he's been, took most of the starting reps, at least did today, at running back with the first team, and he looked really good. So I'm interested to see what happens there. How are they going to maneuver that position? Because not everybody can get the ball. Like, they're not going to be able to keep all 8 guys happy. Now, look, some of these guys, Kane's gone after this year.
They're
John
kind of
Emery's
thin next year.
John Emery's gone after this year. Logan Diggs is probably going after this year, right? And then
Williams is gone.
Williams is going after this year. So that's 5 out of the 8. And you got the 2 freshmen. You have Trey Bradford, who came back for the 15th time. And then you have
Armani Goodwin.
And then you're bringing in 1 running back, hopefully.
Thursday, we'll find out.
Thursday.
It's coming up.
Big week?
Big week. Hopefully
Big
2 of
week
them
for
in the
those
net.
guys. Big week for those guys. Yeah, so you're going to replenish the running back position. They're going to be younger. I think this year it's a product of the portal, COVID, a lot of this stuff, because you have these guys that have been able to stay here for a while, and you've kind of accumulated this huge running back room. So we'll see. I hope that not many of them transfer, but you're going to see a couple of them probably leave at the end of the year.
I'm going to say this. It may take a little bit for it to actually come together. This is just off the top of my head, wildly throwing something out there that I do think is kind of going under the radar. People aren't really talking about it because you've just come to expect something completely different here. I'm not so sure about the defensive side of the ball out the gate. I'm just going to be completely honest with you.
Why is that?
I do think the defensive front is going to be good.
You don't like the linebackers?
And it's not that I don't like.
Yeah.
It's just name me a time when you've seen a really good defense, but you can't name people on it. Like legit name. Like I know he's going to be a dude.
Well, okay, I get that. But let's go through it, right?
They gotta no.
Because I'm talking about names wise. Like I think the names. If we go through the names, I think we'll start to think about okay, that guy. So you have Major Burns back now. He's solid. He's not going to be an all American.
He's solid. He's
right?
a good player.
Your front four,
Yes.
good. I think your front four
Front
is
four
elite.
is fine.
You have
Who's your
Harold
corners? Who's
Perkins.
starting at your corner spots?
So I would imagine Toviano is going to
was
be
that
on
first
one.
word?
He was a freshman,
What was
and then
that first
Denver
word?
Harris.
I would imagine.
I would imagine, right?
Okay,
I get
so
that.
my point is we know Denver's talented, hasn't produced in his chances so far.
I get that. There's question marks for sure.
That's my point. That's
sure.
that's why I said out the gate. I'm not saying that maybe that it'll be that way the whole time. I think out the gate you may struggle. They may struggle only because you're going to see guys who's going to be asked to step up and maybe do something they haven't done before in the sense of, hey, you go be the man at this spot. Hey, you go do this at this spot. Hey, you go make a name for yourself. And let's be honest, man, it just like Spates comes in, he's played a lot somewhere else. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
show me what it looks like in the
what it
SEC.
is. Doing it here,
Right.
in Tiger Stadium or in one of these stadiums in this league, it just hits a little different. And I think he knows that, right? That's why he came here. So I do think stepping up into that, it may take him a couple games.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying they'll play terrible.
So you're gonna
all.
have, as far as like guys returning, right? Your front four, you're gonna kind of understand. Your front seven's gonna be, look, you have Perkins back, you have Penn back.
Yeah.
You have some guys that were there that played, right?
And
The
pause.
outside position.
Before we even get past the front four, as much as I believe in Mason, like I really, really, really do.
He has to come back from injury.
And how many snaps did he have before that?
I get that.
Like how much was he actually
Right.
playing and having snaps?
Well, he played
We
3.
know how talented he is.
He played 3 snaps to answer your question.
And okay.
And his whole freshman
No. My point is the year before that too, right? How many snaps did he have then? Not
Yeah.
a ton. You get what I'm
Right.
saying? So it's like
Right.
we know what the talent is, but getting out there and
For
doing
sure, you gotta
it is
show it.
different.
You gotta
like
show
when
it.
we watch Glenn Dorsey dominate, Glenn Dorsey in junior year was a lot different than Glenn Dorsey in freshman year when he didn't have.
Yeah, I'm with you.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so just thinking of stuff like that makes me think like it may take them a little while to kind of come into their own on that side of the ball.
Right, and hopefully not. And hopefully they jump in. We don't know, but those are
maybe
question
that's why
marks.
The offense is just as a
Yeah.
lot better than what it was last year. you
Right,
know?
and those are question marks, no doubt. I think the safeties are both they're the most experienced guys on the defense. But they're both coming back. I think that's a good sign because at least they can put guys in the right position. You're gonna have Andre Sam apparently has been like all over the place. He's the one who picked off Nussmeier today on a crossing route. What are you laughing?
7th year in college.
Andre Sam.
Andre Sam is his 7th year.
Hey,
Wow.
that's crazy. And so you got him and Omar, who are both older dudes.
Well, Omar's just a true senior, right?
Yeah. But I'm
Okay.
just saying,
Yeah,
he's
right.
played a lot. He's played
Well,
a lot of football.
Think about the secondary. Andre Sam's got 7 years in college.
Yeah.
Greg Brooks has 6
Yep.
or 5. Was it
think
5 or
it's-
6?
This is his 5th year.
This is 5th. Yeah. Okay.
Major Burns is in his 4th year or 5th year. He's a redshirt junior.
This is his 5th year.
What's TR mean?
Transfer.
Oh, transfer. So,
Georgia.
yeah, so he's a redshirt. So this is his 4th year at least. So you have three safeties who have 4+ years, between 4 and 7 years of experience in college
With
football.
almost 15 years of experience.
That's
back
pretty
there.
crazy. That's pretty nuts.
With Andre
And-
Sam leading the charge.
And I'm going to go out and see
Tulane,
this.
McNeese, and then Marshall, and then LSU.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm going to go out and say this one on an absolute whim because what we saw last year was like Superman, right? If they give him more responsibility, if he's asked to play more within the structure of the defense, if you will, what is the Harold Perkins thing going to look like?
Right, and that's what I'm interested to see.
So,
How
like,
much
there's
of the
just- there's
upgrade
just
is it?
so much of it
For
to
sure,
me,
there's
like,
a lot
where
of
we just
question
don't know.
marks. No doubt. The talent's a lot better there than it was last year, but there's question marks. I understand that for
And
sure.
then when I went back and looked at some of the defensive metrics, everybody's raising a red flag about the cornerback room. Obviously, you bring in a lot of transfers. A lot of smoke has been around Zy Alexander, the transfer from, I believe, Southeastern.
Yeah.
He's been getting a lot of first-team reps, but LSU kind of did the same thing last year where they
For
brought
sure.
in a lot of transfer players. You know how many yards they gave up on the passing through the air? throughout the when everything was tallied. 206 yards a game.
Yeah, all right. It's good.
Fucking good.
Yeah. For a patchwork secondary, no doubt.
Yeah.
And so I think that the guys, like the staff, right? Like I think Matt House understands, because he had to go through it once.
Here's Roberts.
Right? Now he did go and get like more veteran secondary guys last year that came in. Now you have Denver Harris, you have a freshman who they're going to want to play. So it's a matter of the talent's better, but you also have you have a blueprint on, okay, we did this last year, this is how we did it. Maybe he's going to call different coverages early on in the season before these guys get comfortable, so that they don't have to just go man coverage the entire game and get beat on these missed assignments or whatever. Maybe they simplify it. I don't know. But I like the fact that he was able to do this last year and be able to call a defense that was very competitive with a patchwork secondary. I'm not saying I think it's going to look better, but it may, like you said, it may take some time.
And the only reason you got to understand too, like I want to build it, I guess, and put this out there the way I think it. I'm really trying to say this is, you got to understand, like you said, we got a linebacker that's coming in on his 7th year, another linebacker.
Safety is 7th year. Spates is a true senior, I believe.
Outside of Perkins, there's a lot of dudes who are trying to make a real statement.
Mm-hmm.
Those type of mentalities sometimes is what gets you to try to play hero ball. It's what gets you to put your head on the wrong side. It's what gets you to shoot the wrong gap. It's what gets you out of your space. Will that play against you early on? Or can they literally from snap one say, I'm going to play within what I'm being asked to do on this defense, and that's going to get me to wherever it is that I want to go? It's literally buying into what the situation is. And
right.
And from all reports from BK, you talk about trying to kind of get out of position or whatever, leads me into thinking about the fight. He said that this was it felt like it was a long time coming, a lot of bickering, a lot of going back and forth, not only between both sides of the ball, but kind of within each other. It feels like typical camp stuff. You said it's early. I agree that it's a little early for this to have happened, but it shows that they're going to have to, I think they're just kind of, it's almost brewing up to, they're ready for Florida State so much, they've been looking so much of this game that the intensity
but you still got to hone it in.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
But that's what I think it is too. I think it's a lot of guys. Everyone knows, like, hey, we got to.
There's a lot of spots open.
Let me go show you I'm the dude. When you don't have to do that.
We're supposed to be thudding and they're hitting.
Just go do you. Yeah.
So, and look, I know you can look at the roster every year, and you go through these big name recruits and these guys who are supposed to have all this talent, and like it makes you excited, right? But I'm looking at the depth chart, right, on the defense. So you obviously have Mason Smith, right? Let's just say he comes back from injury. He's the same guy, and he looks really good, right? Because he was supposed to be an All-American, All-World, whatever, right? Mekhi Wingo is getting first-team All-SEC picks. He's getting All-American recognition. Great. You have Quincy Wiggins. When Quincy Wiggins signed here and we got him, everybody said that was a guy you had to have because he was a game changer. He was supposed to be, and then he got hit by a car on a scooter, and he was a freshman last year, and so he didn't really play much.
It was 3rd year playing football also.
Right. And so they're saying that, he's coming in. He's had a really good camp, summer, August. He's showing flashes of his talent. I think he's still going to be a little bit of a work in progress this year, but you have a guy who can rush the passer there. You have Jacoby and Guillory, who they said is going to be a real factor at nose tackle. Like, he is going to be a guy he's made some big strides. He's going to be really good, right? But then you have Deshaun Womack, who's a monster, and he can get after the passer. He's kind of plays that jack position. You have Ovi
Ogofu.
Ogofu. I was going to mess that up.
I think you said just,
nice
just
assist right there.
Yeah. Transfer from Texas,
nice
right?
assist.
He's got experience. You say he understands his role, and he doesn't make many mistakes. Then you got Jackson Howard, who's supposed to be pretty athletic and get after the passer. So looking at it, you have a lot of guys who have the ability to get after the quarterback, which I think is really important. Now, are they all going to develop? Probably not. Hopefully so. Who knows? But to me, that gives us a lot of, to your point, there's a lot of competition. I think that's what you want, especially on the defensive side of the football.
Having the defensive line spot, like if we could be 6 to 8 deep, now you're cooking.
You have Savion Jones too.
Yeah, he's going to be a player.
Now you're cooking right there. Like
because
now you got something.
He got some major reps last year.
Yeah.
And it feels like this is his breakout year. Same thing with Jacoby and Guillory. He came on at the end of the year, and from all reports coming out of camp, take it for what it's worth, but they said that he realized like this is his junior year. It's time for him to either
Put up or shut up.
Exactly. Like you can either put yourself in a really good position to get drafted, or you can fall off the depth chart.
Yeah.
And it seems like he's responded to that. And if you're worried about the secondary, I feel like that pass rush is going to help them out immensely.
I hope so.
Once you
I
get
agree.
into real
I really hope
football,
so too. Yeah.
No doubt, no doubt. Look, we've talked a lot about LSU football. That's going to be the majority of our conversation, football in general. Let's switch gears for a little bit. We have about 16 minutes until Matthew Brune comes on here. We can ask him all the football questions that we want. It's not Ask Mikey and Mitch Day, but if you do have a question that you want us to ask him, put it in the chat. We'll definitely
go
through them and pose a question if it's good enough. Before we get to that, though, before he comes on here, I do want to talk about the baseball news.
Timmy?
Which part of it?
The old TA.
Ooh-wee.
All right. So
Ooh-wee, man.
if you haven't been paying attention, you didn't watch the game, you didn't see the highlights, which if you have not, then you're probably not paying attention to the.
It wasn't only on sports. It was on the news.
It was on everywhere,
Yes.
right? So this was the best fight since
Nolan Ryan.
No.
since Odor and Batista.
Yeah.
When Odor landed the right hook, but that was the best landed punch. Now, obviously, back in the day, before social media was a thing, before it was so mainstream, you had the Nolan Ryan where he beat the shit out of Robin Ventura. You had the fight where
Kyle
Farnsworth for the Cubs, where he ran after the guy and beat the shit out of him. Like you had some stuff, like the Bryce Harper, the Hunter Strickland fight.
Yeah.
Like you had some stuff. But you never really saw somebody
Arenado.
land the Arenado deal. You just never really saw someone land clean punches outside of the Batista-Odor fight. So this happens, and I'm watching this thing, and I'm like, look, Ramirez, I think he's played the game fine. Like I've never had an issue with the way he plays the game. For some reason he rubs some people the wrong way.
Because he always has that damn smirk on his face.
Right. And he's like, wow, this guy's 5'9", 200 pounds.
He hits everything hard.
Yeah, how does this guy do it? Like, whatever. And you got TA, Tim Anderson, the shortstop for the White Sox. He's been an all-star. He's been a really good player for them. He's done some really good things. He's been very vocal, and he's been very animated a lot of times on the field. So some people don't like – he rubs some people the wrong way as well, right? The White Sox are struggling. We talked about emotions getting the best of us and things getting heated. They're not playing very well. They're getting rid of everybody. They just traded their ace. They traded Lance Lynn. They've traded everybody. Right? So he's kind of the last one standing. He's playing shortstop. Ramirez hits a double. Hustle double, slides in there. Some people said he slid late. I disagree with that. He slid normally, head first. Tim Anderson straddling the bag. He slides underneath him. And Tim Anderson, I guess, smacks him a little harder with the glove than he should have.
First off, what does slide late head first even mean?
I have no idea.
Not a thing.
Yeah, I'm going to slide late and break my neck.
Yeah,
what does that even mean?
Yeah,
It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
I don't know. But so apparently after that happened,
Was it the tag or the straddle? Because it
was
the
the
tag.
tag.
It was the
It
tag.
was the tag. That's what
Because he stood
Ramirez
over him
said.
for a long time.
Well, that's what happened. So he tags him. I guess Ramirez says something to him, and then Tim Anderson dismissed it, says something else, and then they get up and they start, and then Ramirez points at his face, and then Tim Anderson throws the gloves down and he squares up. I'm like, oh shit! Like, not only do they get in a fight, like
They got there
Tim
quick, too.
He put the like hockey style. I'm gonna square up, and I'm like, boy,
they're gonna
Ramirez
fight.
may be in a bad spot right now because Tim Anderson looks like he's been in this before. You know what I mean? Like, he's been in this situation, and he's throwing this shit down, and he's ready. I'm like, oh, boy, this is going to be whatever. So then Tim Anderson comes, and he kind of gives his combination. Ramirez dodges, gives his punch, and then Ramirez gives the head down, right hook, lands it in the jaw, drops TA on the ground. I'm
Hit
like,
him in the special spot.
yeah, hit him right in the good spot. And I'm like, oh, boy. And then it happens, and it breaks up, and they bring TA off the field, and TA's stumbling and bumbling and can't get off the field, and he's still trying to talk a
Standing
little
8
shit.
count.
And he's getting out, right? And so then I'm like, damn. And so I'm like, what the fuck happened, right? Like, because it didn't look bad on TV. And then I was like, they must have said something, or maybe something had been brewing over the time. And I guess TA, or Ramirez, through his translator, says that, Tim Anderson has been jawing back and forth, and he does this shit all the time. And I didn't appreciate the way he tagged me harder than he needed to, and blah, 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 blah. And then they went at it. And then TA, probably in a concussion-filled rant on Twitter, goes through it. like
Every thought in his mind.
threw it like instantly, rapid fire.
was
That
looking
really
at the
kind of didn't
comments
really
too
make
much.
much sense.
You gotta get out the comments.
How did he even get there to where he could fire off that many tweets and read the comments?
I don't know.
You think he was doing speech to text? Or it's just like, I'm just talking.
I don't know, dude. But like,
Let me tell you what.
the suspensions tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
Tim Anderson got 6 games.
Yeah.
Ramirez only got 3. Tim Anderson got the worst of it. He got 6. And Ramirez only got 3.
Yeah, you got to fight in school, got your ass kicked, and then you got suspended more than then you got suspended.
And
6
if I
games
didn't
from class.
need to like Terry Francona any more than I do, his press conference was awesome. He goes, you kind of have to
Boys
giggle
will be
at it. It's
boys.
not
Yeah,
funny,
yeah.
but you just kind of have to giggle at it. Like, this, basically his guy talks shit and then gets knocked out. Is basically what he's saying.
What do you see what the reporter said? He hit him with the left. He goes, it was all right. And then that's what it was on because he's trying not to smile so badly. And he's like, things happen. Baseball, it's the logs. He said, and then he just finally settles on, boys will be boys. And it's like, he's like, I can't get out of here fast enough or I'm going to say something real dumb. He loved it.
It was the crazy part about the whole thing for me is that it's so crazy what like moments do, right, for people. You take somebody like Jose Bautista, who's had, I think he's won a home run derby. I know for sure he's been
Yeah,
in
he has.
some.
He did the bat
Home
flip.
run derby champ. Obviously probably one of the most iconic home runs. Definitely in Toronto sports history, but definitely in baseball history too. I would honestly say that's like the birth of the
Bat
new
flips.
age bat flip pimping stuff, right? So he hits
Which,
that.
looking
homer.
back at it, how asinine were people were like the thought of getting mad at that.
It was crazy because everything
Well,
about
it was
it
only 2015.
because nothing about it was even showing up the other side of it.
Right.
Anyway, the moments he's had in his career, casual fan and or like a legit baseball fan, if I bring up that name and you know that name, there's a good chance you talk about the homer before you even talk about the punch that he took. Like there's a real good chance. So when I flip it back to somebody like TA's career, who's been multiple-time All-Star, batting champion, he's had a fucking good career. Like a really good career. And this moment is the one that's going to speak the loudest.
It's gonna define
today,
him.
right now. I don't know what else is going to happen in his career, but it's crazy that this moment is it's obviously going to speak the loudest about anything he's ever done in his career. It's crazy to me because he's been a real good player.
Real good player.
Like a
Hey, listen,
real good player.
I have nothing bad to say about either one of these guys, right? I've played against Ramirez for a long time. I played against TA as he was coming up. I played with him at the White Sox for a year. Like, I have nothing bad to say about both those guys. Stuff happens. But it just did not look like there had to be something deeper going on there to make it.
I got to see the video again because y'all keep talking about the stumbling, and I felt like I
Well,
saw.
it wasn't on the main video. It was a different video from a different angle from the dugout when they were trying to bring him into the clubhouse.
See, I felt like he was trying to fight against him to go back to the. When I saw the
It's
video.
after that.
Yeah, it's after that.
So he gets loose,
Okay, but
kind
because
of,
I didn't see any. Of
and
it.
he's trying to bark back again, and then his knees buckle.
Yeah, he starts buckling his
and
knees.
I didn't
and
see it. That's
they're
what I'm saying.
holding
I gotta
him.
see that video.
They're like drunk. He's not drunk, but like, you know,
He's
how if
punch
you're
drunk.
drunk and you're kind of wobbling, like
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
holding
yeah.
him to keep him up to like walk him
Like
out.
he's wearing heels.
Right,
That's
like
a
it's
long time after getting hit. Then
I
No
think
doubt.
it settled in. The adrenaline wore off, and then it's like,
he
oh
was
shit.
standing up behind like at
100%.
second base area
It
for
was-
a while, and then they finally got off the field.
And he was trying to like shake people off, like don't carry me. Then he almost fell again. They caught him, and it was like,
Yeah.
this
was
is
it
tough
was it a
look.
don't carry me shake, or was it I'm trying to get back to
No,
the
no,
fight?
no,
shake?
No, it was. I can walk to the dugout.
it
I'm
was
good.
yeah. You'll see.
I gotta see it again.
You'll see it because it was definitely not like, oh, I tripped or I'm trying to go back.
yeah,
It
yeah.
was I can't.
I don't think
my
I can
legs
make
are
it.
jello right now. I
Yeah.
can't really feel it. I got the stanky legs.
Yeah, and when you rewatch it, watch the beginning of the fight with the umpire that's trying. He thinks about separating it, and then he sees
Oh, no,
how,
he out.
and then he backs up and he
went
does
out.
like a boxing referee. He's like,
He
all
was
right,
out.
break,
He
go.
was out.
and it was awesome. And he goes, ooh.
But it was out of there.
Buddy is into it. Like he turned it straight into a boxing card. He was
I
just
love
like,
that.
oh, go, It was unbelievable. He's like, I'm just gonna let him fight.
My man
because
said it's August. It's hot as shit.
Hot.
Boy, I'm not getting in between.
Hey,
this
listen,
nonsense.
what did we talk
I'm
about?
not taking us straight to the neck.
What did we talk about last week? It's August.
it's hot.
This is the worst month to be a baseball player right now in big league
It's the worst
baseball
month-
because
it's the worst month in sports. Period.
yeah, because it's hot and you're ready. You're either out of the playoffs or you're trying to fight for the playoffs, and you're just trying to get to September, and it is miserable. And it's the dog days of August. That is a real thing. The first time I ever
Nobody's
went through
in the
it,
park.
Nobody's there, especially on like a team like when you're playing. The Indians are they in playoff contention?
I don't know.
But like the White Sox are not.
I think they're both at the bottom of the division.
Yeah, like the White Sox are definitely not.
Yeah.
And so like you don't have any juice there. You have to create your own juice. It's the same thing. You're TA. You're on contract, so you're under the control of the team, and they've traded all of your guys away. It's just a lot, and that's tough. That's a tough ticket.
I don't, like when we literally say like nobody's in the ballpark, like it's empty for the most part. Ballpark. Like think about it. Around the country, you're going outside, and it's probably 95 plus and hot as shit. Like there ain't that many people. It's like, yeah, let me sit out here and watch this ball game when they could be like, you know what? There's about 2 months left of this. I'm gonna wait a little bit. Hopefully, we in the playoffs. I'll
See you in October.
Right. See you in late September. Or I'm not going out there right now. Like it's tough right now.
Crazy.
That's where they're at.
Nuts. That's crazy. It was entertaining though.
Yeah, high of 85 in Chicago though. Talked to my brother yesterday. So
that's good.
That's not too bad.
Well, Anthony was just there. He said it was hot as hell.
Yeah, I just talked to him yesterday, so I don't know if it was a one day.
I'll be there.
He said
I'll
he
be
showed
there
up
that
day. He said the day he showed up a couple weekends ago, he had a jacket on. The next day, it was probably the hottest city. He was like, what is this?
I'll be there in like 16 days.
You don't know.
Yeah, not going to the ballpark weather.
Yeah, hopefully in 16 days is perfect.
Yeah, there you go.
I just need to be
Speaking
nice
into
for 2
existence.
days. Just for 2 days. That's it. I'm
Speaking
going
of-
to a White Sox game.
Oh,
I'm
wrong
going to a
team.
White Sox
Wrong
game.
side.
Well, I mean, they're not playing. The Cubs aren't playing there. That time. But the Cubs are hot.
I know.
Cubs are hot. Your
Cubs are
team's
making
hot.
a push right now.
Did they split the series with, or they take the series from Atlanta?
Not
But I know
into
they
it.
got the resurgence of Bellinger coming back alive.
Well, they just
over
talked
there.
about. I was reading an article on ESPN about free agency coming up, and he's one of those guys that they're expecting to get like between 70 and 100 million.
Yeah.
In free agency. Another one of those guys is Aaron Nola. They're talking about Aaron Nola getting a deal similar to what Gosman got, 5 years, 110,
I can see it.
which would be awesome for him. That's after signing his other deal for
Which means I
75
think
million.
he's probably going to walk because, I mean, you would imagine that the Phillies would have gotten this thing done before the season started, before he was able to put himself in that
Yeah.
range right there.
And knowing him,
I know
like
he likes it there. I get it.
For
but
sure.
Yeah.
look, the Phillies are going to make the playoffs, you would imagine, unless they fall off a cliff. They're number 2. They're second in their division behind Atlanta. They're only 9 games back, or 10.5 games back, I guess, because Atlanta only has 39 losses. So 10.5 games back. I mean, that's a long ways to go, but the Phillies are they have a lot of talent. They're really good. If Trey Turner can kind of become Trey Turner again after the Phillies chanted his name, he hit the go-ahead 3-run home run. I think they have a chance to make a run, and if they make a run, they have a chance to win make it to the World Series again or win a World Series. Maybe he wants to stay and win a ring there. Who knows? But it's a lot of money. He's gonna get paid a lot of money for doing a lot of
Good
pitching in
things.
baseball. Yeah, he's deserved it. I'm happy for him.
He won't. I mean, you could have if you have 10 Aaron Nolas, they couldn't spend that money.
No, right, no doubt.
Like buy so many boats.
Some rods and reels.
Rods and reels.
He's gonna get a new van to travel around the country with and live in the van.
Yeah.
Him and Daniel Norris. You don't know Daniel Norris. He was the first one he made living in the van popular. He's played in the big leagues. Played with me in Detroit. Good dude. Quirky, but good dude.
Quirky dude, but good dude.
Great
Well,
guy.
yeah, if you're living in a van, you got you got a screw loose at least, because you got to poop in a bucket. Like, not a lot of them have I'm sure you could afford a bathroom in his, but I fell down like a rabbit hole of van life on TikTok. I don't even look at TikTok. I saw it on Twitter, which brought me to TikTok, and it was like
Sounds
all
like you
these
should be looking at TikTok then.
Yeah, well, I wasn't, and then I was. And it was all these people living in vans, and I was like, oh, you can live wherever you want. You get all these beautiful views.
He's a surfer though, so I think he was living on the coast.
Yeah,
it's
but-
like he was surfing the whole time, and
nowhere to
I don't know.
shower.
Who knows?
I mean, I guess those raggedy bunch, like, they don't care.
Who
Bathe
knows?
in the ocean.
I couldn't do it.
I could. Just wouldn't.
I know you could. I
Yeah.
couldn't. Is he in? Is he early? Is he
Nope.
prompt?
No.
He's not prompt. Before we get to him, we can give a shout out to our other sponsor. You see him on the top left of our screen. That is Evco Development. Our friends down at Evco, they're based out of Lafayette. They're a civil construction company. They specialize in new multifamily construction. That includes site drainage, site utilities, earthworks, site clearing, house pads, ponds, demo work, and hurricane cleanup. Hopefully, they don't have a lot of hurricane cleanup coming here. Like if we have storms like we had last week, a couple days, maybe they need to come and clean up a tree that fell down in your yard, or they need to do some stuff, around your house or whatever property that you own. Let's not hope there's a hurricane. It's not good for my business outside of the show, right? I like for us to stay clear of the hurricanes, but If you have any of these needs that need to be taken care of, give them a call at 337-534-4675. Again, that number is 337-534-4675. Tell them we sent you. And, again, that's EFCO Development.
I'll get going. I'll see if we get a
Wow, look at that. Right after
picture.
my
Oh,
thing.
yeah, he's
in
in.
there. How's he look? Good?
Excellent.
All right, we're going to take a 30-second break. We're going to get to Matthew here. We're going to come right back with all of your LSU updates and let him give us a play-by-play of Fight Night. You're watching Mik'd. We'll be back to you in 30 seconds. This is located on 3723 Government Street. Everybody knows about their Wall of Famous steaks and their hot tamales, but what you may not know is that they're open for lunch every day from 11 to 2. Great people, great environment. Their lunch menu is fire. What's the best thing on the menu?
If you haven't tried it yet, you need to try the burger. Unbelievable. Best burger in town.
Best burger in town. If you're looking for lunch, 11 to 2 at Dozy Place. Again, they're located on 3723 Government Street. Give them a shot. Welcome back to Mik'd Up. There we go. We're look, bumps and bruises. We're going to get through
Yeah,
it. It's okay.
absolutely.
It's all part of it. Welcome back to Mik'd Up. We are excited to be joined by our next guest, Matthew Brune. Matthew, this is our first video call in the new studio. It's going to go very smooth. It's going to have no issues. We appreciate you coming on. Matthew covers LSU football for On 3. Thanks for coming on the show, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, you sound
hope
glorious.
everything's good.
You sound glorious. You
So
look
I
great.
sound okay?
Oh, you sound great.
All
You
right.
look great.
All right. Lighting good, everything like that. All right.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm great. I'm a little sunburnt. Yeah, you can probably tell that difference right there. Yeah,
You're out there. It's hot. It's hot out there.
No, that's from the jersey getting grabbed, Coach. That's you're in that you're
Well,
in
listen,
that struggle.
We talked about at the start of the show, right? When the hotter it gets, the more tempers flare up, the more agitated people get. Obviously there is a fight that broke out between Malik Neighbors, Kyron Lacey, and Denver Harris and
Harold Perkins,
Harold
Kyron
Perkins,
Lacey, yeah.
right? So they all get kicked out of practice. Things happen. What happened? Give us the play-by-play because it was open to the media at this time of practice, correct?
Yes, it was. It was really an interesting sight because earlier in practice we watched Charles Turner and Mason Smith actually get into it when we were inside at the indoor. So it was like, okay, there's already something that they've needed to be separated, which was an interesting, occurrence because usually that doesn't happen. We've been to a handful of practices over the last couple of years. Last year it wasn't nearly as open as this year's was, but still it doesn't happen very often. So I thought that was noteworthy. Then we get outside and they go through 11 on 11s, and all of a sudden I see Malik Neighbors jump up and grab him and Harold Perkins start grabbing each other. And I was like, what's kind of happening here? I thought I was going to de-escalate. And then that's when Kyron Lacey and Denver Harris kind of jumped into the mix and kind of started exchanging some blows back and forth, pushing, punching, all that stuff. Then the whole scrum closed in, and that's where obviously you get to where you don't want anyone to get injured, rolled up on or anything like that. That's where the concern really happens. One guy fighting another guy, two guys fighting another guy. That's not the end of the world if it's safe, as long as they're not hitting each other with their helmets. But yeah, that's kind of what happened. And then kind of Denver Harris comes out of there with his helmet off, it's yelling at everybody. Malik Neighbors and Kyron Lacey get dragged away. It was a very Harold Perkins also kind of got dragged away, but they kind of left him on the field, and then he kind of got mad again, and then Brian Kelly had to talk to him, pulled him to the side, and he didn't participate in the rest of camp. But yeah, that's pretty much how it went down.
Did it look like this was something that was brewing at practice, or is this something that's been stewing for the last few days? You know what I mean? Was this something that they just got competitive, or they've been going against each other for the last few weeks, and it just kind of got heated.
Yeah, I don't think we'd seen 2 practices. We weren't privy to the Saturday practice, but it felt like it was good competition the day 1, first day. But then again, first day you're trying to feel things out. Day 2, we only got to see like the first half of practice. We didn't get to see the second half. But still, we had heard, and I think Mason Taylor kind of mentioned today after the practice, it was like we've had flare-ups this camp, which we didn't have last year as much. So yeah, this very much could have been a multiple day type thing. Be like, I'm tired of him, and then you get outside and it's 100 degrees and you feel awful, and then Harold Perkins maybe just comes in and says something, and Malik Neighbors took it, or vice versa, because Malik Neighbors has been very much known to talk, and so it's nothing at all that he's but I could definitely see it flaring up today in the heat. One slight comment and off to the races.
Yeah, so everyone loves to hear a good little fight story and kind of what happened, but we want kind of get to the meat and potatoes of this thing. Give us the tea, the scoop, the lowdown. How is that quarterback room looking, and how are things kind of progressing right now from that side of it?
Yeah, the cornerback room?
No, the
specifically?
quarterback room.
QBs.
Quarterback room.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, QBs. Jane Daniels and Garrett Nussmeier, obviously, I've been really high. Well, I mean, I've been high on Nussmeier since I first saw him 2 years ago, and I saw him throwing next to Max Johnson and Miles Brune, and I was like, the ball just kind of comes out of his hands differently. His arm talent, as we've seen, obviously with the Georgia game, the Purdue game, I think in the spring game, he just shows it every time he's on the field now. So his arm talent is elite. Jaden Daniels is going to be the starter this year, though. He is far more experienced, I think almost 50 games as a starter now compared to Nussmeier. Obviously, the mobility is a huge factor. It's the reason why they won as many games as they did last year. And ultimately, Jaden Daniels has improved as a passer. I think I've seen that. I think the whole media has seen that over summer, even over spring, but over summer and then into fall. Now we've seen a handful of practices. And so I think his touch has improved. I think he's being more aggressive vertically. He'll never be as aggressive as Garrett Nussmeier is, just because
I don't know if anybody is that aggressive.
Yeah.
Special talent.
Yeah, Joe
Down
Milner,
there somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that they're going to be fine with Jane Daniels as the starter and Nussmeier backing them up.
There's been a lot of reports. Like, obviously, the recruiting class comes in. It was Brian Kelly's first recruiting class. It was a talented class. It was guys that you expected some of these guys to play early on. There's been a lot of talk about the youth shining here early in camp. I know it's only through 4 days. The media hasn't seen every single practice. But what have you seen from the young guys, right? Obviously, specifically in the secondary, because that's the one, I think, the biggest question mark that we have. The safeties, I don't think there's any more years of experience in the college football than we have in our safety room, because you have, Greg Brooks, and you have Major Burns, and you have Andre Sam, who I feel like have 50 years of experience.
Some grown men back there.
Yeah. And then, but your cornerbacks, like the outside position, you have some veteran transfers from smaller schools, but you also have Denver Harris who transferred in, Toviano who transferred in. Have you seen these young guys like kind of embrace it, take the next step? What do you see from that position group?
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting because, like you said, Denver Harris only spent 1 year at A&M. Terrence Welsh, who a lot of people, I particularly was also high on coming out of spring and last year as a freshman, I thought he could show some flashes. Then you go to a guy like Javian Toviano, who gets kind of moved around a little between nickel, corner, safety, all that stuff. Then you get those guys like Zay Alexander, who transferred in from the FCS ranks of Southeastern, and Deuce Chestnut as well from Syracuse. So, yeah, you have a mixture in the secondary. Obviously, like y'all kind of mentioned, that's this position where we really just don't know right now who the starter is going to be or who even is in the lead right now. I would probably, through a practice, might pencil in out there. Now, guys made all if Denver Harris jumped in, if Terrence Wells jumped in, if Deuce Chestnut. So, yeah, practice is wide open. But the secondary, like y'all said, I think the safeties are in good spots with their depth and their experience. Nichols fine with Sage Ryan and Javian Toviano and Jordan Allen, guys like that.
Is Sage Ryan going to take the next step this year? Is he going to be the guy that finally to live up to the hype coming in? Obviously, I know it's harder. I'm not gonna say he's been a bust because that's not by any means what I'm saying. But I think that people expected him to be, as a 5-star, be a guy that comes in and is a star.
Yeah, that's very fair. I think this is a make or break year for him to a degree. If he can't get on the field, you look at it the last 2 years, right? When he was a freshman, they had Cordell Flott in the slot, NFL draft pick. He's doing great with the Giants. Last year, Jay Ward drops down. Greg Brooks and Jay Ward kind of filled that spot, mostly Jay Ward. He gets drafted to the NFL. Now it's Sage Ryan right here. I was wondering if one of these transfers would move to nickel. They haven't yet, so we're looking at really just Sage Ryan, Jordan Allen, Javian Toviano, maybe if Greg Brooks drops down in some packages. But there is a pathway for Sage Ryan to be the man at nickel. And if he can't lock that down, I will be a little disappointed. And I think, like you said, this guy was a 5-star coming out of Lafayette for a reason. That he is an awesome athlete. He just kind of gets caught in between sometimes. He can be that tweener guy where he's not quite big enough to be a thumper and not quite quick enough to really hold up in all coverage situations. But I do expect him to be the starting nickel.
So a name that's drawn a lot of buzz. I think this room right here, this group of people here, have a lot of interest in how things are going to go for him. I know it's early. I know you guys aren't getting to see the bulk of practice right now, but what is the involvement and how is a guy like Aaron Anderson being used right now on the offensive side?
Yeah. Whenever all the transfers wrapped up, I had Aaron Anderson as my second favorite transfer. I think Aaron Anderson is awesome. I think he showed in the car in New Orleans out of high school that he was a top 40 player in the country, punt returner, wide receiver, slot guy, 5'9", 5'10", incredibly quick. I covered a guy like that when I was at North Texas, Jalen Darden, who went in the 4th round of the NFL draft. And you just see guys like that, and you're like, you find a way to get them the ball. That's the big thing. And I think that they're figuring that out. His hands are high quality. I think in route running, you see him in one-on-ones, and there's nobody that can guard him. He's just too quick. You have to get your hands on him, on guys like that. So I expect them to use Aaron Anderson in the slot, which they have done already. I'm interested to see in screen situations, bubble screens, maybe drag screens, just different type of plays to get him the ball in the open field, because he is really, really electric. And I pencil him in to be the starting punt returner as well. I just want him to have the ball in his hands, really.
A guy who I don't think anybody has question marks about his talent and his ability to play on the field, but I think people want to see him take the next step as far as being on the field every down and being able to take that next step as a linebacker, and that's Harold Perkins. Obviously, the talent is off the charts. His year last year was off the charts. Now they're going to ask him to do more at that linebacker position, be the leader, be the guy in that position, in that group, to say, okay, I'm the best player on this defense. I'm going to show you that I'm the best player on this defense. And the way to do that is to be able to understand the defense and be able to be on the field every single down. Have you seen that adjustment? Have you seen that evolvement of him through the course of this
evolution
camp? Evolution. That's what I was looking for. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good word too. I think the big thing with Matt House has been, we know you can rush the passer at an elite level. Like you said, like, he is the best player on this defense, bar none. He's one of the best players in the country defensively. We know you can rush the passer. He has spent the entire offseason trying to get him to be able to play on first and second down as an inside linebacker, because we know on third downs we can put you wherever on the field and you can rush the passer. But on first and second downs, if you can make that run stop in the gap, if you can drop back in coverage sometimes and make a play, or if you can obviously spy the quarterback from different spots, like, there's just different scenarios in which I think Matt House really wants to use him, and that's what we've seen. We haven't seen a ton of him off the edge this fall, this spring. Really, we heard in the spring that John Jancic was using him on third downs as the outside linebackers coach, kind of at that jack spot. So that's kind of what I expect going into the year. First and second downs, he's going to be inside next to Omar Spates, who I love Omar Spates. I think he's really good. But after that, if it's 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 7 even, probably, I'm expecting him to be at Jack, outside linebacker, pass rushing position, opposite of either Savion Jones, Deshaun Womack, so on and so forth, Quincy Wiggins, put a name in there. But yeah, that's kind of what I expect from Harold Perkins. But it has been all inside linebacker from what we've seen so far.
Oh, speaking of Harold Perkins, when you say inside linebacker, who would be coming off the field? And is that taking away something that he just does extraordinarily well? Is that too much of a stretch to put him? I mean, obviously you don't want to see him come off the field, but he kind of loses his ace card a little bit whenever you see him out there on third down. You know what he's going to do. I know you want to see him play more. Why not just keep him in that same position? I mean, you talk about evolution, but I see him more as like a Von Miller coming off the edge where he's going to do it every time, and it's almost impossible to stop.
No, that's a very fair question, because that was me early in spring camp when I first heard about this, moving him inside and everything. I thought it was an experiment that they wouldn't stick with, really, because he is so talented as a pass rusher. The way that Brian Kelly and Matt House answered the question of keeping him aggressive and keeping him on the front foot is that they want to blitz him from the inside. They want to blitz him from the outside. They want to blitz him from different positions, because if he just lines up as an outside linebacker, as an edge guy, they can double team him. They can, chip him. They can put a tight end on his side. So that's how they justified it. And that makes more than enough sense to me to try him out. And then you pair that with the fact that he can be used on first and second downs. And probably if he, once he goes to the NFL, he's not quite big enough, to really be a 3-down, I don't think, pass rusher at that level.
Right.
Ideally, I think you'd like him to move inside to where he can be more versatile for defenses. And I think that's where they're doing it. Matt House obviously comes from the NFL. He comes from the Chiefs, where he was a linebackers coach. So I think he knows what's best for him. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out, because my concern is this can't have road bumps. You start week one with Florida State, and you have to be ready from that game forward, and you have to bother Jordan Travis.
I want to go to the offensive side of the ball for a minute. I got a little distracted with the frat boys.
Yeah, we haven't even talked offense yet.
I know. We talked a little quarterbacks, but
quarterback.
The running back room has 8 guys on scholarship, right? Like,
if you have 8, you have none.
Okay, shut up. Okay, that's not the case. But you have 8 guys on scholarship. A lot of these guys have had a lot of success in college football. You obviously bring Josh Williams back, who was vital to the team last year. You have Noah Kane, who had a ton of touchdowns. He has a lot of experience. You bring back Trey Bradford, who came back to LSU for the 15th time. You have all these guys that have talented. You bring in transfer from Notre Dame, John Blank.
Diggs.
You bring in Diggs from Notre Dame. Logan Diggs. You bring in all these guys, and you have 2 freshmen that come in. What does the running back room look like? Who's going to get the first crack at it? Is it going to be a running back by committee? And you can't have 8 guys in the committee. That's just too many. What are you seeing from that room?
Running back cabinet.
It is a interesting position to be in. I don't know if Frank Wilson's ever been in this position. Brian Kelly was like, we're having to mirror drills in order to get everybody the adequate amount of carries and an adequate amount of reps. And 8 feels like too much. It feels unnecessary, but especially with the addition of Logan Diggs. And so they already had 6 or 7 there. You add Logan Diggs. In my opinion, Logan Diggs has the highest ceiling for this season. He comes off a year where he rushed for 800 plus yards on a good Notre Dame team, obviously showed against some high quality competition what he's capable of. 3-down back. Like, if they just had him and Josh Williams and the 2 freshmen, I would think this room is fine. But they have those the 2 freshmen, like you said, John Emery, Noah Kane, go down the list. Armani Goodwin coming off injury. I do think it will be by committee, almost because it has to be.
How many are in the committee?
If I had, it's a whole committee. I think Logan Diggs and Josh Williams are the best 2 backs, and I think that they will be the 2 featured backs. I think John Emery will be featured in situations like he was last year, where he was, caught passes out the backfield comfortably. Before he started fumbling the ball, he was pretty spry. So I think you have Josh Williams, Logan Diggs. The rest of them are kind of used when necessary in certain situations. Noah Kane led the team in touchdowns last year, so he's kind of a goal line back. Armani Goodwin's kind of a really quick, speedy bowling ball type. So they'll all have their roles, but I'm saying Josh Williams and Logan Diggs get probably combined 60-70% of the carries.
All right.
An answer.
That is a great answer. Out of all the young guys, right, and we've talked about it a little bit, who do you see making the quickest impact and the impact quickest?
Of all the freshmen?
Yeah, all the young guys like that that have come in, whether they're freshmen or it's freshman transfer or whatever.
Yeah, I got 3 freshmen off the top of my head. 2 of them are the highest rated from the last class, so it's not really fair. But Deshaun Womack on defense, 5-star, top 10, top 15 player in the country. I mean, he's going to get on the field the same way Harold Perkins got on the field. It's like it doesn't matter if you know exactly what you're doing, just go get the quarterback type. He's that good, and he's going to be that good. So Deshaun Womack on defense, he'll get on the field somehow. And then offensively, I do think Zalen's Hurd, who was also another top 20, 5-star player in this class, Zalen's Hurd at tackle, offensive tackle, I think he will push for playing time, even though obviously you have Will Campbell and Emory Jones as your starting tackles. I think Zalen's Hurd finds a way to get on the field. He's just too big.
Does that push Emory Jones to guard? Does that push Will Campbell to guard? I would imagine that would probably push Emory Jones to guard more than Will Campbell, right?
Or you could put
that would push Emory Jones to guard more than Will Campbell. And obviously, we don't know, knock on wood, but we don't know what injuries will happen with offensive line. Offensive linemen miss games, more than almost any other position group. So if Miles Frazier misses a game, I could very well see Emory Jones move inside, Zalen's Hurd slide in to tackle. It's all very fluid, but I think Hurd gets in for he gets a lot of snaps this year. That much I'll say. And then third, I'll throw out Kamorian Pimpton, 6'6" tight end.
I was hoping you'd say that.
That guy. I'm not gonna say I was skeptical at all because Billy Embody and Shay Dixon, who I work with, are awesome. 2 of the best recruiting guys in the business. They vouched for him, and I watched his tape, and I was like, "Is he really just gonna be able to just dunk on people in college? Is that how this is gonna go?" And I think he's just gonna be able to dunk on people in college. He's gotten stronger. That was my big concern. I'm not worried about him as a blocker as a freshman. He'll figure that out. But, man, he just boxes people out and can go get the ball. So I'm like, all right, he's going to get like 5 touchdowns this year.
Oh, I love that. I love that prediction. I was talking about the tight end position a lot, right? Because obviously Brian Kelly loves that position. He loves having a 2 tight end set. I feel like both of the tight ends that he's going to have in Pimpton and Mason Taylor, right? Mason Taylor had a great freshman year.
Mac Markway is out there somewhere.
I know. Well – man, I think those 2 guys are probably going to be like the most athletic, probably best pass catchers. I made a bold prediction. I don't want to call it a prediction. I said I made a statement that I would not be shocked if this happened, and I said I would be shocked if a tight end had a 1,000-yard season for LSU for the first time in history, and then I kind of backed that down to I would not be shocked if you had an 800-yard receiving season from a tight end. Am I far off? Are they going to use the tight end a little bit more down the field over the middle, or is it going to be more of a safety net?
So in your prediction, you have Mason Taylor getting 800 yards receiving?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me rephrase it. Not a prediction. It is a statement that I wouldn't be shocked if it happened. I don't want to say I'm predicting it.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Are you playing the fence now? What is this? He's just like, wait,
Matt, this started at 1,000 yards, and now he's
I went down to 800. I went down to 800 because 1,000's a lot. It's hard.
1,000 is a lot. Look, I have my own podcast too. I've done podcasts for a few years too. I understand how it goes. If you're right, you pull the clip. If not, you just let it go.
Let it die
in the distance.
It's an oblivion. I get it.
I've heard this before. Some people think Mason Taylor is going to have a huge monster year, and people have pointed to Michael Mayer from Notre Dame, who's put up monster numbers. Past when he was at under Brian Kelly. It's like, yes, Brian Kelly will use the tight ends. I don't think Michael Mayer has that type of season if he has Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas on the outside. That's the hard part.
That was our
concern. I don't think if Jaden Daniels actually pushes the ball down the field as much as we hope and expect him to this year, not saying it's a Garrett Nussmeier level, but if it is just a step forward in that progression, I think that we'll see Malik Neighbors once again with the 1,000 yards receiving, but then Brian Thomas, Kyron Lacey, Aaron Anderson, like those type of guys are all going to be in the 50 catch range. And I just don't know if there's enough for Mason Taylor to get to. If he's going to get to 800 yards, he'd have to get 70 or 60 receptions.
But let me
that's asking a lot.
Let me ask you this question though: if we can all sit here and say if we had to point at one part of Jaden Daniels' game that we don't think is the strongest, it would be the arm strength, right? It would be pushing the ball down the field outside the numbers. So why couldn't he push the ball down the field over the middle of the field with a tight end who's bigger? Two tight ends who's bigger and that can run. That's possible, right? Especially if you have really good skill guys on the outside.
You started to see it towards the end of last year too. They're throwing like Mason Taylor's running routes deeper towards the middle of the field.
Yeah, he definitely was. I do attribute some of that last year to them really losing trust a little bit in Kayshawn and kind of the receiver room to a degree. And Mason Taylor was so good, but he was also so safe in what he was doing in terms of like we know what we're getting from Mason Taylor on a day and day out basis. You had Kyron Lacey dropping balls. You had it was a lot. It was the situation wasn't great at the receiver room last year outside of Malik Neighbors, and that's why Mason Taylor, give him full credit, stepped up. I'm interested to see, does his production go up significantly or does it drop? Because I feel like there's no in between. I don't think we're going to see the same Mason Taylor numbers we saw last year because either Jaden Daniels is going to be looking receiver, or it's going to be similar to what it was last year. And Mason Taylor is better than he was last year. And I think he could potentially, get 600 plus yards off of yards after catch because he is that kind of athlete. But then you throw in, I haven't even mentioned, guys like Jackson McGohan and, guys that can play the slot in ways that LSU really didn't have last year, contributing.
Yeah. Well, this is going to be interesting. I'm a huge fan of him. I think that he's done a lot of really good things as a freshman, got put in tough situations, and he excelled. I hope that my prediction is right because it means the offense is doing really well.
Oh, so he's ratcheted it back up to a prediction now.
Yeah, I'm a prediction. Y'all bullied me.
Hey, look,
y'all bullied me into
I'll say
doing
this.
it.
The only reason I don't think it'll happen, if it doesn't happen, like the biggest reason I don't think it'll happen is because of the time, the rule change in the time clock. These games won't be as drawn out anymore
Not as many
with
plays.
the rolling clock and stuff like that. So I think stuff like that will play against that.
If he has, listen, I'm predicting the 800 plus, right? But if he has a 500-yard receiving season at a tight end, that's a really good season for a tight end.
Oh yeah, of course.
I mean the record.
That's what I've maintained as well.
Yeah, like the highest tight ends, 500.
620.
No, you miss us up every time.
580.
Five something.
580.
Yeah, by Thaddeus
LSU?
Moss. Yeah, by Thaddeus Moss.
Okay.
So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. Matthew, dude, I appreciate you coming on the show. I think this is your first time on our show, correct?
Yes. First time you popped our video cherry.
There we go. So your first video call in the new studio. Hopefully we get you back on here a lot during the course of football season. I'm excited for football season. It's nice to be able to have these conversations that are meaningful, not predictions in May and June of like, hey, what's going to happen? What are you going to see? So I appreciate you, dude. We'll have you back on and enjoy the rest of your night.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Next time I come on, I'll probably be like even more sunburned.
Perfect.
So we'll see how that
walk
goes.
outside, take the shirt off, get a little tan some days. It's
You're
okay.
gonna match it up.
Yeah.
Do the
get
Coach
a
O.
nice little base.
Yeah, just take my shirt off.
Yeah.
Stand next to Brian Kelly, just with my shirt off.
Listen, as
Coach,
long
one
as you're
question
doing
over
as long
here.
as you're doing your work, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you look like, as long as you put good work out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Ed would have loved you.
Yeah.
Stand out, don't fit in, baby. Here we
That's
go.
it. All right, dude. Enjoy your night.
I
Appreciate you.
respect that. Thank y'all.
All right, man.
Video calls work.
Video calls work. They went pretty good. I think that was on his side.
Oh no, it was on our side. The
Oh.
stream started to go haywire.
Never mind.
It
on
was
our
the
side. I'm just joking,
the
man.
graphics package that we put it in. It's all very animated, so the laptop was struggling a little bit.
Okay,
so.
but he caught it.
Yeah,
Caught
we
up.
had to quit a stream on the back end. That's
Thanks
okay.
to our producer over here who's just
As long as we're not quitting the mainstream, we'll quit
No,
the
and
Twitter
we
stream.
got a blip of yellow on the mainstream, so I shut her down.
There we go. That's what
Make
make
those
those
decisions.
tough
Yeah.
calls.
He's
Make
doing
those
the
tough
work.
calls.
He's doing the work.
I mean, look, Matthew said pretty much everything we anticipate him saying. It's still so early
Let's
in
ask
camp.
about the injuries.
I wanted to ask him about because he mentioned
Greg Brooks.
Brian Thomas Jr. And I wanted to bring because he didn't play today and he didn't seem like he was injured. It said so. I don't know why he sat out of practice. I meant to ask him that. He talked for about 30 minutes. I felt bad for his time, and you know,
Sunburn, needs some aloe vera.
yeah, he must be hurting because he brought it up a couple times.
That's a tough feeling. First sunburn of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know about that, huh, Jay?
Tough feeling.
That shit hurts.
Yeah.
That shit hurts, huh?
Ooh-wee. You
Yeah.
don't like when
You get that.
can't
You get the
talk
peeling and
either.
stuff after. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Not
Built-in
good.
sunblock.
I don't get as much. I don't get as burnt. I mean, I get more burnt than you, obviously. But I don't. I don't get that burnt.
Yeah.
I don't get that
Some of
burnt.
my worst days came from those sunburns. you know?
I had practice 2-a-days, going back and forth from baseball.
Oh,
Oh,
man.
man.
Well, okay.
That's great.
I think it was a good interview. I think he gave us some good insight. I think by the end of next week, you're going to start seeing things start to unfold. Because at the end of next week, you're going to be 2 weeks away, right? That was the time frame we said last year they were going to announce the starting quarterback position. When you get to be about 2 weeks away, you start to feel guys who are going to be real contenders for that first week as
Start
starters.
hearing names and names.
Yeah,
and names.
right. And so after, once you get to be about August 21st, which is 2 weeks from today, that week,
I'll be at the beach, baby.
I'm going to be at the beach on Labor Day weekend. But 2 weeks from today, August 21st, you're really going to start seeing some shaking going down and seeing who's going to be 1, 2, 3 on the depth chart.
Whittle.
Hopefully there's no injuries, knock on wood. But I'm very, very, very excited for football. Hard Knocks starts tomorrow. Hard Knocks gets you really excited for football because that's like the really first time you really get behind the scenes of everything and like
Slow
this is
motion
it.
spirals.
Yeah, this is it.
Well, the Jets are doing their own YouTube series, so I'll be interested to see like the way both are painted.
Yeah, I want to see Aaron Rodgers in this. I want to see how he's like embraced.
He's all
the
up
Hard
in the
Knocks.
YouTube series, like.
Well, that's what I mean. He may not be hard. It may not
Yeah.
be in the Hard Knocks because of that.
But he was talking to a defensive lineman that was, who's the one from Alabama? That's Quentin Wilkins. Like, God bless you, thank you. That guy.
Is that Wilkins? I thought Wilkins was from Quentin Williams.
Quentin Williams. That's
Quentin
that
Williams.
guy with the
Wilkins is
braces.
from- yeah.
He was talking to Aaron Rodgers.
He's a monster, dude. He's
He
so
is.
good.
And so he got to Aaron Rodgers, and Rodgers like, "What'd you see?" He's like, "Oh, he was shaded this way, whatever." So I did an inside move. He was like, "Did you tell that to the center?" He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna tell him." Like after practice, Rodgers like, "I'm gonna tell him right now."
Yeah, I don't want you to keep touching me.
So it's like it seems like he's fitting in very well. They're buying into whatever Aaron Rodgers is selling.
Nice. Well, look. When I watched that Hall of Fame game, Aaron Rodgers obviously didn't play, but they interviewed him and the way his demeanor and what he was at, how he was talking and how he looked. It looked like he was happy and he was excited to be there, and it kind of feels like he got rejuvenated in his career. I think that makes the Jets extremely dangerous. Their defense is going to be good. They have unbelievable talent on the offensive side, and Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. Jesus Christ, Mikey. Garrett
my
Wilson
fault.
and Breece Hall on the offensive side, young talent. Alongside him, you have Michael Carter, and then on the defense, obviously, you have Slaugh's there. So
Sauce just picked him off yesterday.
Sauce looks good, So I think they're going to be dangerous. It's going to be fun to see. It's football season. I'm excited. The Saints also are going to be, I think, a lot more dangerous than people think. We're not going to get super in depth right now on the Saints. John Trey Kirkland signs with them, which I think is a huge thing for him. I think he's got a real opportunity with some injuries that they have now to showcase his ability. They have two guys visiting right now in free agent, and Anthony Barr and Kareem Hunt. Who knows what happens with there? I think that their team is pretty, based off barring any major setbacks. I think that they're pretty talented. We are going to have, and I don't want to mess the name up.
Brooke, this is your call. Your turn.
Kirchhofer. Brooke Kirchhofer.
Brooke Chesney.
Brooke Chesney, yeah. Brooke Kirchhofer from New Orleans.Football, her new role at New Orleans.Football. She's going to be on the show on Wednesday at 6:30 talking everything Saints. New Orleans.Football does the best at covering the Saints. They have the most in-depth coverage of the Saints. They have the best articles on the Saints. They give you a really comprehensive look at what the Saints are right now, what they can be, and they seem like they have a pretty good line to some insight behind the scenes. So I'm excited to have her on the show to talk about it. I think this will be maybe her first time on the show, maybe her second time on the show. I think second time on the show. I think she's been on the show
I think
before.
it's the first time.
I think it's the first.
Well, we had a conversation in Omaha with a bunch of reporters that there was a couple that were upset they hadn't been on it. I don't think she was one of them.
I don't think she's been on it before.
Maybe not. We'll ask her.
Maybe she's just polite.
That's bad if we don't remember.
I don't think
It's
she's been
Omaha,
on it.
baby.
Yeah, Omaha.
Stop.
But yeah, so she's on the show, and then on Friday, We're gonna have some.
Got it.
You got a lot of whistling going on here. We're gonna have some college football talk. From. Listen, you guys are. I can't concentrate.
You're looking at your phone.
Well, I'm trying to get. My phone's all messed up. Now you got me all flustered. We're gonna have some college football talk. We have some surprise guests maybe on Friday. We do have a guest that we're waiting on confirmation for right now from On3 to give us a real comprehensive look on college football, not just LSU, what college looks like, college football looks like as a whole. I'm excited for all of this. It is a mess, but
Somebody's got to make sense of it.
yeah,
Can't be me.
fun. Not gonna be me. I'm glad I don't have to deal with it. All right. Good Monday show. Welcome back from the weekend, boys.
Yes.
I had a little brain fog, but we're good. We're getting there. What you got Seggies?
I got Seggies, baby.
Let's go for the Seggies.
All right, first one up.
Mistake of the day is brought to you by our friends at Dougas Eat Place. If you've never been to Dougas, you're missing out. They have unbelievable food. If you want to go there for dinner and you want to have a really, really good steak, they have unbelievable steaks. They have
But you
great
need to stop in
tamales.
for lunch.
But you probably should stop in for lunch. Listen, everybody needs a little break, especially from the sun. If you're working outside, stop on in to Dougas Eat Place, sit in the back, chill out, watch some football, watch some highlights, watch some NFL Live. Watch our show. If you want to watch Mik'd Up on your phone in the back bar where the vibes are high and the food is great
And the beers
and
are
the burger
cold.
is the best in Baton Rouge.
Phenomenal.
So give it a shot. Mistake of the day is brought to you by our friends at Dougas Eat Place.
And
for it.
since we are newly indoctrinated to cards and culture, I thought it'd be fitting to bring up former Giants linebacker who retired from the NFL because he was so confident in his, I guess, card scheme.
His
you
hobby
can
at
call
the
it,
time.
His hobby, which netted him $11.1 million.
Well, it didn't net. It
didn't
made
net
the
it.
company
Yeah,
$11.1 million.
well, he started the company.
Right, but he's had 30 employees. Like
Yeah,
he's got,
that's what I just found out.
So he brought in $11 million of revenue.
And reported earnings.
That's revenue.
Yes. I'm just reading. I don't know how business works. That's why I get paid so little. Now, less than a year into the business, the former Giants linebacker has been permanently banned from a prominent online marketplace, which is called. We learned about it today. His business was Blake's Breaks, but his own collectibles company, and it was essentially top tier cards.
Whatnot is the marketplace.
And it was all about Pokemon cards. This was all during the later part of his NFL career. After multiple customers took to Reddit with accusations of wrongdoing, including orders never being shipped, the Whatnot marketplace, which is the biggest card marketplace apparently in the world, said that a comprehensive investigation led to the removal of Martinez's Blake's Breaks account. So he's kicked off of that marketplace. So now he's kind of sitting around with his dick in his hand because he violated a bunch of card rules. I'm learning the card industry as we're here now, but he basically sat out his NFL career. He could have signed for one more year, probably made $5 million. Instead, banked it all on this card scheme and is now out of a job and out of his card game.
Big mistake, right? The whole thing. I think a bigger mistake on top of that is his response from these allegations. His response, quote, now listen, these are snippets of an article, so
Until the
it's
whole
not
story.
the full context, but this is the response. Quote, I understand the optics. I know the type of business I run. I made a good amount of money. Everybody knows in the NFL. And I knew stepping into this, I was going to have a target on my back. So basically, now look, there's some dots in there. So that means that there are some things in between some of those comments. And it's easy to frame and shape something but just with those comments right there, man, that comes off a little bit arrogant. And that comes off as, okay, I'm better than this. I may have done something wrong, but like not really that wrong, and they're just picking on me because I already have money and that I'm in the NFL. I'm kind of new to this industry. I don't think that was probably the most efficient way to go about this, but good mistake of the day.
Thank
Good.
you.
You've had a few good ones since we moved in.
Didn't sound like he kind of climbed out of the hole.
No, I think he just built the hole a little deeper.
Yeah, a little deeper.
A lot more questions. He
Yeah,
didn't really
a little
give any explanation or anything.
That
Just
sounds
kinda-
guilty.
Exactly. All right.
Call.
Good job. Curtain calls. Curtain calls brought to you by our friends. Brought to you by our friends at Assured Partners. For all your insurance needs, call us at Assured Partners. We do. Us.
Okay.
Us.
Frankie.
Us. And Frankie. You get me, you get Frankie.
And Mikey. Yeah.
That's how that works.
Tag team.
Tag team. Yeah. The curtain call is brought to you by our friends at Assured Partners. What we got today, boys?
I'm going to lead it off and go on over with the boys from Gonzales.
Hey.
Little League World Series has started. They're not actually into the field of, 8 that actually gets to the World Series.
Go to Williamsport.
Williamsport, yeah, not Berg. Yeah, that's a little different. But the boys from Gonzales, the Ascension Parish team, at one point, which I didn't realize because I didn't catch it until the back end of the game, but at one point it was down 7-0 today. Until they got to the last inning of the game.
Well, 7-2 in the last inning. They scored 2 before that, I think,
I
right?
just said at one point.
Yeah,
we got into the last inning where
Little
the
rally
game
starter.
ends up being
Now the game begins.
a 7-7 tie, all the way down to bases loaded, all the way down to 2 outs, and they walked in. It was a walk-off walk. Walked in the game-winning run
to go to the championship.
They advance on to the next part. The championship
is it the championship or no?
Of the part of the bracket. I think this championship game is what gets you to Williamsport. So, shout out to the boys from Gonzales.
Shout out.
Big things. Baseball's still going.
I've never played in the League World Series. I never played in Little League
either.
to where we can qualify for that.
Right. I
I'll
think
play
that's
travel ball.
Civitan. In
What?
Louisiana is like the group. There's Dixie and Civitan.
Who that?
And that's how it is. I
have never heard that word
Civitan?
one time in my life.
I've never heard Civitan. Little League
That
World
must be
Series.
in Alexandria. That's not.
I guess so, but that was the league that got to go to like the Little League World Series.
Which one went to the College World Series?
I've never heard of Civitan.
Never heard of
that
that
before.
before.
Anyway,
Yeah, that's news.
There's a lot of
Shout out.
a lot of coaches upset about that. They're like they let these teams in and not have a much better the Civitan leagues.
I've never heard.
But the travel ball coaches are out.
I really think
Well, I mean,
Lloyd's
that's-
making that up right
if
now.
you want to, if you want to do
Google
it,
it.
travel ball teams, then you have to go and play. The difference between travel ball teams, you get players from all over, not that area where your little league team is, right? You have you have an area, so that's what makes little league,
unique.
Right? Like we had guys from Morgan City on our travel ball team. We had guys from Baton Rouge, and those guys would not have been able to play in Lafayette.
You got to
Little
be
League,
zoned for the
right?
Lafayette district.
Right. But so congratulations to the guys out, the kids out there in Gonzales.
Go do the whole
Shout
thing.
out.
Go win the whole thing.
What's yours?
Mine is there's a new league forming, and it is bringing back the 90s of baseball, baby. It is an Olympic league where they're already cheating, so we might as well make it. Let's see how much you can cheat. Steroids are fully legal, and this guy's doing it right. I don't know what competitions they're going to do.
This guy's doing it right.
Yes. I don't know what competitions they're going to do, but I'd imagine since it's Olympic style, you'll see some Olympic lifts. You'll see all sorts of world records broken. You'll see like a 100-meter dash, some swimming. My hope is that let's throw in a little home run derby. Put that into the Olympics.
baseball's in the Olympics now.
That's what I'm saying. And I know this is an Olympic sanctioned sport, but it might as well be because there's so much doping going on in the Olympics anyway. They're just sanctioning it. And the reason I say he's doing it right is because he's screening everybody for their heart after every competition, making sure nobody explodes on the podium. So he's taking care of their health, and then a needle on your way out. So let's do this. Put it on TV.
You're flirting with a dangerous
A
line.
needle on your way out.
This guy's flirting with a dangerous line.
That's a lot. The new
That's
American
exciting.
Gladiators.
I mean, you're telling me you're not going to watch?
I'm gonna watch.
Yeah.
So doesn't mean he's not flirting with a dangerous line to these athletes may be flirting with a dangerous line of like, hey, how much do I take? What do I not take? What's
Never
gonna
done this before.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough.
Should be
Or I've
exciting.
done it, but now
Yeah.
like
It's
I'm
gonna be
doing
like
it to the
American
next level.
Gladiators.
Yeah, it's been crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you get to that league by never having done it before.
Right. You've done this. You're not just gonna try to dabble for the first time in your life.
You've dabbled before.
What does
my
this
whole
do?
life for this.
What does this do? No. Now, how much can I put in my body?
Justin Gatlin's like hurdling the fence to get in this thing.
Oh, my
Lance Armstrong may come out of retirement.
Oh, this is his league.
Yeah. Good one. My curtain call.
Barry.
Who?
Bonds.
Barry
still
never
do it.
got caught.
Never got caught. We don't know that yet.
Yeah. I should
don't
start
know
in
it.
my next chapter of my career, Kevin Durant.
All right, my curtain call is to.
E2.
Is it is to?
I don't know.
My curtain call is
It's
to
two.
the boys from LSU. They both got their first professional home runs.
Oh,
right.
yes.
On the same team, same day, best friends. I think that's a really cool story. On top of that, Dylan Cruz's Superman jersey was auctioned off, which they had minor leagues. You have these special jerseys. He had a Superman jersey. It was auctioned off and reportedly was sold for $11,000. Good for him. It's going to charity, which is awesome. So double whammy in the curtain calls. They both hit their first career home runs, and Dylan Cruz helps charity because he's really good at baseball and people want to buy his jersey for $11,000. So shout out to the boys. First of many to come for both of them. And hopefully they both make it to the big leagues on the same team and get to have a really cool story. So that's it. That's all we got for today's show on Monday.
Good show.
On August 7th. I thought it was a good show. You know, we're like I said, we
came, we saw,
and
we conquered.
We're trying to still adjust to the area. I think it's always getting better and better and better. I
saw
love
that today. Shout out to the crew at Cards
shout
and
out
Culture.
to the crew. This is a great setup.
The things they did here is fire.
It's only going to get better. And, you know, we have a lot of really cool things coming up in the future. So stick with us. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. The thumbs up button really does help us. Please interact with us in the chat. Lloyd is always in the chat telling me what's going on in the chat. If you can't watch us and you like to listen to us and you like to drive or anywhere you get your podcasts, again,
Just
we
get one of those
appreciate
things you can put on your dash and watch it.
Yeah, that's not dangerous or anything.
Oh, Ronnie Ranch drives with Netflix on in his
I
car.
saw someone the other day driving with watching something on his thing, and same thing.
Yeah.
It's okay. Do what you gotta do.
Do whatever you want. It's your car.
We'll be back live in studio from 6 to 8 p.m. on Wednesday. We're going to have a lot more Saints conversation, a lot more football conversation, and whatever else the sports world wants to bring us over the next couple days. Please tune in. We love you. We appreciate you. And shout out to all of our sponsors. There's only one sponsor we have not given a shout out to. Ooh. They are on the screen constantly. They are sponsored our ticker. They are, if you drive their car, their brand car, it means you are, making a statement. It is clean. It is classy. It is, a statement.
It's a nice double take.
Yes. And look, I think you'd be shocked when you step in there, what you may get for the price that you may get it for. Jay, I'm trying not to put you on the spot. I really set you up for this one. Why don't you give a shout out to our boys over there at Range Rover Peretti?
Go on down, Airline Highway. We've said a lot about them already. We'll continue to speak about them. They've been great partners of us, and what they do, what they are in business with. I think you'd be very, 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 very happy with the product and very, very happy with the service you get. Airline Highway, go on down and see them at Peretti Land Rover. It's great people, great service, great product.
Tell them we sent you.
Trust me, I know. Tell them we sent you.
Tell them we sent you. All right.
Nothing better than that new car smell.
Nothing better.
Just go in there and get a whiff. See what happens.
That's it. You may do something that you're not gonna regret. You're gonna be happy about it. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. We'll see you on Wednesday. Peace.